Okay, that's time. Hello everybody, am I coming through clear before I begin? Everyone can hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I am Pyotr Kamarovi. Some of you may know me as the organizer of Noobs on Patrol Weekend Edition, which runs after this at 11:30. Others may know me from the classes I ran a couple of months ago, or perhaps you will know me as Battlegroup 2's Executive Officer. Today I'll be talking to you about making money during wartime, which is a very relevant topic since the Inferno changes which made war a ever-present factor for the university. Are there any questions before we begin? Okay, before we begin properly, I'd just like to make a disclaimer. The following class is based upon my opinion. It is not the opinion of the university. And the advice I give you may be wrong, but for the most part, I can assure you that it will be right. There is no syllabus on this. I have not yet written it. I'll get around to that. So there is no university standard for this class. I'm just going off my own notes and off my own knowledge. If you take my advice and die because of it, most likely you did not take my advice as it was given. But you never know, sometimes you can make mistakes, or I can make mistakes. And first of all, is anyone recording? Liam, are you recording? Okay, excellent. I'll get you to post this. Yes, thank you. Alright. Firstly, wartime, some people are having trouble making money. I've noticed a lot of people complaining, saying that it's hard to make money during wartime, they're too afraid to take their battlecruiser out and do missions, that kind of stuff. Like to say, you shouldn't be afraid to take your battlecruiser out and do missions, and I'll explain how to actually do that safely later on. But first I'll explain the conventional methods of making money during wartime that were mainly used during the old wartime standard operating procedure, which, as you know, has been relaxed. These are station trading and out-of-corporation hauling, which are both as safe as possible. Out-of-corporation hauling is, of course, liable to suicide ganking, but it's pretty much the safest way to make money in EVE without not undocking your ship. I am not an expert on these subjects, and these are not the primary focus of the class, but I'll cover them briefly. As most of you know, station trading is sitting in a station and buying and selling items day by day in that station. You do not undock. It is... Who is getting up? Please mute yourself if you're accidentally keying up. But yes, station trading, there is an actual class on this topic, and it is basically you sit in a station and you pay attention to market trends. You anticipate when an item is going to rise in price, when it's going to go down in price, and you buy and sell trying to make a profit. Hauling is much the same, except you haul from different stations. It does not take as long to get a decent turnover, as you're not waiting for prices to drop or rise in price. And you can transport items that are plentiful in one place to a place where those items are also very rare and at a high price, supply and demand. Now, as I said, there are other classes for this. But if there are any questions on these topics, please go ahead and ask. I'm by no means an expert on this, but I am decent when it comes to knowledge of the market. So are there any questions about station trading and out-of-corporation hauling? When I say out of corporation hauling, what I mean is, while the university is at war, you create an alt. Whether it's on the same account or not is up to you. Whether you want to sacrifice training time on your main, entirely up to you. You train it up to use haulers, whether that be the standard Tech 1 industrial ship or the more advanced industrial ships, the transports, such as all the way up to Orca, Jump Freighter, those kind of stuff. Have I got any free spreadsheets for you? I'm afraid not. I do not use spreadsheets. I only just recently learned how to actually use Excel properly. So, no. In regards to station trading, can you trade in a station you are not docked at? Actually, you can. There are certain skills, though I have not prepared to link those skills as I don't know about them. They'll allow you to place buy orders and sell orders at stations out of the station that you are trading at, but in most cases you will be trading at the trade hub of the region, and placing buy and sell orders outside of that trade hub is a waste of time. You can't place either order outside of the region, as you can't actually see the market of anything outside your region. And thank you, Chaos. Chaos linked a wiki article that describes the creation of an alt hauler, and for anyone that's interested, that is probably the most definitive piece of information you're going to find, unless you attend a class on hauling. On trading, what amount of risk should you start with? There is actually one person I know of. They have created a blog somewhere. I'm not sure where, but they made 1 billion ISK in under a month with a newly created character. No loans, no. I think they actually did the starter mission, so they had about 1 million ISK capital starting off with. Of course, if you want to make money quicker, you can start off with 10 million, 100 million. It really doesn't matter as long as you're good at what you do. You get a good turnover, make profit. Is there a good method of determining if a contract is bogus or a scam? It's not really part of this class, but I'll answer the question anyway. Well, there are several types of contract scams. There's the contract scam where it's trying to sell something at a price, say 401 million, and the actual price they're selling it for is 401,000. Or that one was very easy to spot, as you just look at the price. Also trying to sell items that do not exist or are significantly rarer by changing the name of the contract and then putting a different item under the contract is a very common one. Contract scams are pretty easy to spot. As a general rule of thumb, don't take any contract that's linked in local as a bargain, or in fact linked in any local, especially Jita local. Don't even look at Jita local is my advice. And thank you, Ishmael. He linked the skills for market trading. Any tactics to avoid being killed at gate? Don't actually trade in anything that you cannot afford to lose. That's the basic rule of Eve. Do not fly anything you cannot afford to lose. I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. I can't do anything about it. But use a bounty. One moment. Yes, a blockade runner. They can fit a cloak which of course allows you to align while like an improved cloak that allows you to move at standard speed and align at standard speed. So you can simply break the standard gate cloak, activate your manual cloak, and align using that, and that's probably the safest way to haul. But simply put, to avoid being killed at gate, just don't carry anything that the enemy would make a profit on ganking you on, a significant profit. Don't haul plex, in other words. Question: if I'm modifying an order and I hit show market info when it shows 2 jumps or something like that, is that 2 jumps from my current location or 2 jumps from the location of the show buy order? It's 2 jumps from your current location, I believe. Do not quote me on that. Yes, Tello is correct. The main thing of contracts is to read them very carefully, and yes, look at the destination route for courier contracts. A lot of courier contracts will try to get you to go into nullsec or lowsec. Fortunately, they now warn you in big red letters if the autopilot route does contain lowsec or nullsec systems. But people probably still fall for it. I can especially see a new pilot fall for that. Now, are there any other questions before I move along?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm the person asking about the killing at gate. I was like once being killed with a lot of value items in high sec. So if we are flying a capital ship, can we avoid that?
If you had flown a blockade runner, you could have avoided being scanned and shot, because what they did was they scanned your cargo and discovered what was in there, and they decided that it was worth ganking you for. If you had flown an Orca, you could put those items in the corporation hangar, or if you're carrying ore, you could fly a Rorqual and put it in the ore hangar. Neither of those hangars can be scanned, and when killed, any item in those hangars will not drop, it will just be destroyed. Quite secure, probably the best way to protect your investment.
What about the Providence? If we are flying Providence, would that be better because they cannot like one-shot kill me?
Yes, if you flew the Providence or other such large transport ships, you have a significant amount of armor and shields, much more than the standard Tech 1 industrial ships, so they must use bigger ships to take you down. Basically, the bigger the ship, the more they'll take you down and the less profit they make. So you gotta sort of do the math, make sure that make sure that the ganking team would probably cost more than the profit they would make off your items. So say you're carrying 100 mil, and to gank you, they would have to use 2 tornadoes. They cost about 75 mil each. That's 140 mil. They make a loss on that, and they won't gank you.
Last follow-up question. Can they warp scrabble a capital ship? I'm not too sure about that because I cannot fly it yet.
Yes, a capital ship can be warp scrambled, just like any other ship.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And now we'll move along to the main part of this lesson. Now, as you know, the wartime standard operating procedure was significantly relaxed. Well, you may not know it, but I'll tell you now. It was significantly relaxed, I believe it was. Before that, you were not allowed to mission unless you were in a fleet, and I believe that you had to be in a fleet of more than one person, so you couldn't just form a fleet with yourself, but I'm not too sure on that. And you also couldn't fly many ships. There were lots of restrictions preventing you from actually making money. Nowadays, the only restriction on missioning is that you be in a fleet with yourself, that you be in Mumble on the Combat Lounge channel, so that you can easily call for aid and people can fleet with you very easily. And those are the only restrictions on missioning. Now, still many people don't believe that they can mission. They may know that they're allowed to, technically, but they don't believe they can. They might get killed, the enemy might hunt them down. This is true. You can be hunted down, you can be killed, but that's only if you're not careful. It's very easy to avoid the enemy if you do some very basic tactics, such as, well, first of all, to find a mission location and a place to mission out of, you should find a place that is away from LOSEC, so you won't get sent into LOSEC to do missions, as you can get killed by pirates, of course, in LOSEC. You should find one that is not very populated. And the reason for that is not because the enemy will check every mission hub. There are lots and lots of mission hubs. It's so that there's not many people in local. You see, the main way to discover if there are war targets in the system, of course, is to scan local. If you have to scan through a lot of players, scroll down the list, that's not very efficient, is it? So, your main method of survival when doing missions is to separate yourself from Eldrad, the market pipes, from Eldrad to Heck, Eldrad to Wrens. A good distance to be from any of those locations is about 10 jumps. Don't go near LOSEC. And keep local as a separate window. You can also keep live intel as a separate window, so that you can always see who is in local. You can always see that member list. That way, if someone does jump into local and they're a war target, you can simply get out as fast as possible and dock up. Are there any questions on that? That's not all of the missioning part, but that's about all on local. How about missioning with other Yes, that's fine. You can mission with out-of-corporation friends, but they can't help you fight a war target. You must remember that, so don't feel safe in numbers. Now, even if you do keep a close eye on local, I tend to scan local about once every minute or so, and that's about a safe time to do it. But if you're confident that you can, confident that war targets will not be getting into the system, you can scan every once every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes. But I would suggest being highly alert when it comes to local. Of course, that still leaves that minute-long gap for war targets to enter the system and warp to you, but they still scan you down, correct? But that's actually not so. This is why you must always have D-scan open, and you must always be constantly scanning. If you see combat scanner probes on D-scan, you may be getting scanned down by an out-of-corporation war target. The thing is, they can scan you down, they can warp to you in a cloaking, park themselves near you. War targets will enter system, probably. If you're unlucky in that time when you're not scanning local, they immediately warp to the out-of-corporation scout and lock you down and kill you. So you must always be keeping an eye on local, always keeping an eye on D-scan, watching for war targets, watching for suspicious combat scanner probe activity. And this is also another reason why you must stay away from key mission hubs, because there are lots of ninja salvages in areas such as Gulf and Nodi, which is one of the closest mission hubs, and they will often have combat scanner probes out. Now remember, you can't just rely on the very local intel that local and D-scan relay to you. You should always have Intel your eye on liveintel.iln. If it flashes, check and see if that war target is possibly en route to you, or in an area that may threaten you, such as in a neighboring system, and you may be given a mission to enter that neighboring system, and then get blown away by a war target gate camp you didn't know was there because you didn't check live intel. I would also recommend that you keep live intel as a separate window. This is a very useful skill, habit to get into when you go, or if rather, you go to nullsec, because every nullsec alliance will have intel channels, similar intel channels, from which they relay the information about invading hostiles and neutrals, which is very, very useful for a nullsec ratter, nullsec explorer, etc. Any questions? So just to recap, mission away from the home systems, mission in a system with very few people in it, or less than a complete list, so you didn't have to scroll up and down local. That's not an absolute rule. I myself mission in Gulf Anodi, which is a very populous mission hub. But I only do that because I know that I'll be able to keep an eye on local, I know that I'll be able to keep an eye on D-scan, and I know that I can keep away from enemy, and also I rarely, if ever, mission during prime time for enemy corporations. Most enemy corporations operate during US or Euro prime times, operate during Australian, New Zealand prime time. It's very different. Use local, use D-scan, use intel channels, and also stay away from war target hotspots, especially their own home systems. Not always will they be pirate corporations who hang out in low-sec. They sometimes will be high-sec corporations, such as Red versus Blue, who sometimes purple up to declare war upon us. And they have their own home systems, so stay away from enemy home systems as well. And there are no questions on that. I think with those rules in mind, you can and very easily survive missioning in a high-sec system. Low-sec is a completely different story, of course, but you can survive missioning during wartime, make money, and you won't lose that shiny battlecruiser or battleship. Of course, another way to make money during wartime is mining. Mining is much the same as missioning. You need to keep an eye on local, use D-scan, use intel, stay away from hotspots, all of that. But also, mining should not be done solo, I do not believe. We have an AMA mining camp for a reason. You should probably join up with them, or you can run your own mining fleets. I believe we even have a channel dedicated to that. Unlike missioning, mining is more profitable in groups. Split up the rewards, have an Orca booster and an Orca hauler, and basically just have more people. It also allows you to place pickets. Basically, there's a scouts that either sit on different gates if you're too lazy to watch the local yourself, or they can sit in different systems that border the system that you're doing the op in, and if they see war targets entering system, they can warn you. Makes it very safe, very secure, and an easy way to make money. Also, in my opinion, a very boring way to make money, but that's a personal opinion. I would say that missioning using these same strategies is more profitable if you do level 4s, level 3s, but you know, each to their own. Are there any questions about mining?
On average, how much ISK should we be expecting for per hour mining?
It's per hour for mining. I think the average is about 20 to 30 million in a Hulk. No. In a pre-Hulk Exuma. I don't know much about mining myself. I think the highest you can get is about 100 mil per hour in a Hulk. And that's with Orca boosts, etc., mining the correct ores, and doing everything very efficiently. Some people have asked about using ults with their own fleet in wormholes. Is the SOP designed to prevent ults from fleeting up because they are out of corporation? That is not entirely correct, no. The SOP is designed to prevent Unistas from fleeting up with other players who have no association with the university and PvP. It's part of the university's very strict neutrality policy. Basically, the university does not want to be seen to associate too directly with anyone else, any other corporation than EVE, otherwise they may earn the enmity of corporations who are enemies with the corporation that they're associating with. It is a diplomatic issue, yes. And that topic also opens up another way to make money during wartime, and that is wormholes. Wormholes do not get any riskier after when war begins, except for the original scanning down process. And the fact is that can be done in a cov-ops ship, such as a stealth bomber or a regular cov-ops frigate. And that's perfectly safe. You can also fit a prototype cloak to a scanning frigate, and that will have absolutely no effect on your scanning capabilities and make it much safer for you. And well, that is another way to make money during wartime. This is not a class on wormholes, of course, but as I said, wormholes do not get any less safe during wartime. There are always risks. And I'll briefly cover how to stay safe in a wormhole. Basically, when you enter a wormhole, you must bookmark the wormhole entrance. You should usually be in wormholes in fleets, unless you are in a battle cruiser and you are doing a C1 or C2 wormhole. I would still not recommend it unless you are in a fleet. You should always have D-scan open, and you should be constantly spamming it, pretty much, trying to see whether there are hostiles in the system. If you see a pod structure, try and do sites that are away from it. If you see a ship on D-scan that was not there before, you are advised to just simply get out, etc. There is a wiki article on running wormholes. If you will allow me a moment, I can find it for you. And there are also several classes on running wormholes. And I believe that there have been events organized in the past centered on running wormholes as a fleet, and spontaneous fleets do often spring up. Not during this time zone, I'm afraid, but in many other time zones you'll see people running wormholes as a fleet. A class 4 will usually net you about 40 to 50 mil an hour. The higher the class, the more ISK you get, and they are quite profitable. But the safer option is to simply mission, and you are far less likely to lose your ship even during wartime. But if you want to make a riskier yet more rewarding option, wormholes are there for you. There are also incursions. I'm not too clear on the wartime standard operating procedures stats on running incursions, but I know that you cannot run an incursion with another corporation. and other corporations will not want to run incursions with you during wartime. This is because war targets can warp into system, they can disrupt an incursion fleet's entire balance by chasing away those 1 or 2 university pilots who are members of the fleet, and this can bring the whole thing crashing down, especially if the university pilots were logistics. And thank you, Chaos, that was exactly what I was talking about. Okay, so to recap, one more time, during wartime, you can make ISK by station trading, out-of-corporation hauling, missioning by following some very simple guidelines, mining by following similar guidelines, wormholes by simply operating as you normally would in a wormhole, and incursions by running with the university fleet. Now, to elaborate further on running incursions during wartime, you should probably set pickets in the systems around where you're incursioning, and maybe even in a system where you are incursioning on the separate gates to monitor whether war targets come into the system, because the fact is that war targets can always know where in the general area you will be running incursions, because there will always be the incursion systems on the map that you can very easily see. And if they have spies inside the university, which most targets generally do, these spies can find where the incursion fleet is by simply opening up the star map and selecting the filter corporation members currently in space, and you'll turn up as a big blob because you are an incursion fleet, and they'll know exactly where you are. So you should always have pickets, you should always keep an eye out and make sure that no war targets are sneaking up on you. Mick, what is the best type of ship for use in level 4s? A battle cruiser can tank level 4s, but it's mainly just the Drake that can do that. The Cyclone can also do that, and they're also very low DPS. So, it'll take a long time. Battleships are the generally recommended ship to use. The Raven for Kildari, Maelstrom for Mimitar, etc. You can use a hack, yes, and there are even assault ships, mainly the Ishka, that can complete level 4s in a decent amount of time. Once you get into that higher ISK range, say billion, 2 billion, you can also complete level 4s using faction battleships and Tech 3 cruisers, which are significantly faster than most Tech 1 battleships, especially ships like the Maelstrom and Raven that do not really have that DPS and that speed required to do level 4s really fast. The Macarial, the Tengu, that's just 2 ships that you can blitz level 4s really fast in if you have a lot of money. The thing is, you have to have the money to replace that, especially during wartime, as your concentration may slip and you may get tackled and beaten down by war targets. Remember also that even though the Warsup does allow you to fly Tech-3 cruisers, faction ships, etc. during wartime, you will get booted if you actually allow them to be killed. So you have to weigh up whether you think you can keep that ship safe. Karimson said, pickets are essentially people posted at exits or entrances to make sure nobody is blocking you or entering your system to attack you, which is entirely correct, yes. That is what a picket is. A picket can also a picket is a type of scout. You can also have a +1 or a -1 who move ahead or behind the fleet, which is basically useless in incursion and mission fleets because you're not going to be moving too much. And you can also have a ranging scout that moves between destination systems, but those are mainly for PvP. A picket is used in PvE. And a hack, yes, heavy assault ship. Yes, a hack can be used to complete level 4, as far as I'm aware. Alright, I think I've pretty much covered everything. I should also point out that the guidelines I gave you require very careful administration by you. You need to really stick to them if you want to survive. I would not advise missioning while confused or tired or inhibited in any way, as you may sometimes forget to descan, to scan local, or you may just simply decide to jump into a system that you know is occupied by war targets, but just didn't think about it. You should always mission while in a clear state of mind. Yes, exploration. Is that allowed and is it worthwhile? Exploration operates under the same concept as missioning. Scan and explore in systems that are away from the home systems. Keep an eye on local. Look at intel channels. And always be descanning while completing an exploration site. I did not mention PI. Thank you, Taylor. I had forgotten about that. PI is also another way to make money during wartime. I had forgotten about it pretty much because I considered it just a passive source of income that everyone should do. It doesn't produce much money unless you're doing it in nullsec or wormhole space, but it can produce enough to keep you going day by day. As most of you know, Planet PI, or planetary interaction, is the construction of command centers, extractors, and factories on a planet to extract resources from it, which you then sell. It does require that you use a hauler. That is the main problem with it. But if you set it up near a trade hub that is probably distant from LJAT, Rens, and Heck, then and Jita, as war targets do also visit Jita, it should be very easy to transport those goods from the planet that you're set up your planetary interaction on to a trade hub. Are there any questions about planetary interaction? I do have a planetary interaction set up in nullsec, Sov nullsec, which I can't actually use because I'm a member of the university. That was from back when I was a member of a nullsec corporation. So I do know a little bit about planetary interaction, so if you have any questions about that, just go ahead and ask. Crimson, I recommend joining a level 4 Locust fleet for the standing and salvage shares if you aren't confident about doing missions solo or lack faction to do level 3 missions. That is entirely correct. If you aren't confident about doing it solo, there are always mission fleets running during the prime times at least, not the downtimes that we're currently in at the moment. And you can join those and get the standing, salvage, bounty, mission shares. It's quite handy, and I used to do that with the corporation I was a member of. It makes missioning much more fun rather than just shooting the red boxes, as you actually have people to talk to. It's very enjoyable. Taro asked, is PI still worth doing in high-low sec? Yes, PI is worth doing in high-low. I'm sorry, passive income. Well, it's almost passive. It does involve a lot of clicking. You will break some mouses, probably. You can make about $1 million, $2 million high sec. Those numbers may be off because I don't remember doing much high sec planetary interaction. Low sec, you'll make a bit more, 5 to 6 million a day. It's not nearly as nice as the hourly incomes of level 4 missions, wormholes, exploration sites, mining, pretty much anything. But it's nice because it's extra ISK. It doesn't require very careful attention. You just need to open up planetary interaction once a day, click a few buttons, away you go. Q, about PI, how do you upgrade what you farm from a planet? PI is basically, there are, I think, 4 or 5 levels of PI. P0 is what you directly extract from a planet. These are what you farm with your extractors, and they are funneled through to wherever you've set them to be funneled through to. To get to P1, you need to build the basic factories, I believe they are called, and you funnel 2 types of P0 goods, the base goods, into that factory and produce whatever is produced from those 2. To upgrade to P2, you need advanced factories, and you put 2 P1 ingredients there, and so on. How do you join a Locust fleet? Missions.E-UNI will sometimes broadcast mission fleets there, and you can join that channel and participate in fleets there. Yes, as Crimson says, join the mission channel and chat via your corporation tab. Links are there. People ask for level 4 Locust fleet members to X up there or in Mumble chat lounge. And you can also ask other people if they want to salvage it for level 4 missions. Yes, it's very simple to find a Locust fleet. Just have to have some unistas who are missioning in the same area as you, and generally people will join up as long as they're actually at their keyboard. In most cases, Locust fleets will produce more income than a solo person, unless they're a fleet of battle cruisers trying to do level 4 missions. In that case, they'll be slower. You also have to remember with Locust fleets, do not try to overload it with many members, especially members who are inefficient at doing that fleet, as you will drive your ISK efficiency way down. I know that most people don't care about, well, I know a few people don't care about ISK efficiency, but when it comes to really lowering your ISK per hour rate, I just don't think it's worth it. Crimson says that I recommend basing yourself in Caldari or Calente space. Yes, that's a good point. Caldari and Calente space is a good place to base yourself, but there's also the point that if you base yourself somewhere along the Eldrat pipeline, but off the main pipe, and you see people reporting hostiles in the pipeline, as usually happens, you will almost always have some UNISTA in those systems reporting intel. You do have advanced warning of war target movement down that pipeline. The Eldrat to Ren's pipeline is what I mean. That's correct, Liam. Salvaging is good income, but actually splitting the ISK, keeping track of all the people, it's rather tedious. And Tara did point out a good point. jump clones are a very handy asset during wartime. You don't actually need to have the standing with the station owner that you're currently in to get a jump clone there. So if you have a mission hub in a mission station, you don't need a 8 standing to put a jump clone there. You simply purchase a jump clone, jump into it, fly that jump clone over to that mission hub, and then jump out of it into your old clone, and suddenly you have a jump clone there. He'll remain there forever, and you didn't have to grind 8 standing with that corporation to get it. Jump clones are very handy as they allow you to get out of sticky situations such as being camped at the Pyotr tech school, or to jump into a clean clone for PvP, all that kind of stuff. Turlo, does blink count? Yeah, I guess. But blink is very risky. You know, I've heard people who blew 2-3 billion ISK there. I myself never even risked that much ISK in blink. I think at most I risked about 100 million. And I came out on top by about 200 million. It's handy if you know how to weigh your gains, but other than that, you know, it's easier to lose this. It's just gambling. It's random luck. Do you have to be scanned? Do you have to be targeted to be cargo scanned? Yes, absolutely. This makes it very easy to tell when you're being cargo scanned, because you'll be yellow boxed, and if you haven't set up your settings correctly, you'll begin to target them back. Oh yes, passive targeting. Yeah. But generally, if you're cargo scanned, you'll know about it, because as soon as you go to a line, well, as soon as you jump through on the other side, you'll get blown up, or as soon as you start to try and warp away, you'll get blown up. It's fairly obvious. And there's not much you can do about it either, other than not fly more than your hull can, as I said before, ISK tank is pretty much your only chance, other than cloaking. There's a good share for the salvage at 20% additional or more. I couldn't tell you really, but 20% additional, that sounds about decent. It's really up to the fleet commander or the general members of the public if they're running it as a democracy. So it's up to the fleet or the fleet commander. They will usually scan people at the ends of pipelines, meaning restricted corridors between trade hubs. Yes, that's the main point. They'll usually keep their scanners away from the actual gang team, and they will cargo scan you, discover what is in your cargo, and then you'll jump into the trade hub. They will see you, they will lock you, and they will kill you. Okay, so does everyone understand the concepts I described here, the missioning guidelines, mining guidelines, etc.? Is there any other questions? Excellent. I hope that you are all now much more confident in taking your mission ships out and actually missioning in them and making ISK, it is very easy to do. Just to provide an example, I mission in my Maelstrom in the Gulf Anodi system, which is approximately 4 or 5 jumps away from Rennes and Heck, and it operates along a pipeline that is very close to where the war targets usually hang out. I will not be caught because I just keep an eye on local, I keep an eye on D-scan. If I see combat scanner probes on D-scan, or if I see war targets in local, I warp away, I dock up, and they cannot catch me. Thank you for attending. I will I will stay here and answer any questions that you may have. Also, so that I can fill out the class report, can I get you to send me, can I get everyone who attended to send me 1 ISK? I will X up in class E-UNI, just 1 ISK, thank you. Okay, there are a couple more questions there though. Is there a wiki on DScan? I think so. The syllabus for DScan 101 or directional scanning 101 will help you a lot. I think there are some guides on directional scanning on the wiki. I think I could run a class on directional scan next Friday around the same time if you want. And I think that would be handy for a lot of people, since I don't think many people know actually how to use the D-scan correctly. Yanu asked, when monitoring D-scans for combat probes, what range do you use? I typically use the maximum range. The thing is that if you're in a big ship, you can be scanned down very easily by ships with combat scanning probe bonuses. Sometimes you can get scanned down at ranges of some 10 AU or even more. So the maximum range will probably give you the most warning that you can get. Also, remember to monitor D-scan for any suspicious ships, stealth bombers especially, as they may have scanned you down, and they may be jumping through those acceleration gates even now. Yes, there will be YouTube videos about directional scanning. And apparently Seamus has D-scan vids. I'm not surprised. He does seem to have quite a few guides. I haven't watched them myself, but I imagine they're quite useful, especially for those people who learn better through video than they do through lecture. I know there are a lot of those. I myself am one of them. But if you're monitoring D-scan for combat scanner probes, and you see them on your overview, you can probably see if they're narrowing down your location by lowering the range to 1 AU or to 4 AU, etc. And that'll allow you to see whether they're narrowing down their scan on you or whether it maybe it's just a coincidence. But if you see them on scan, likely your best option is to get out, especially if you're an unpopulated mission hub. Directional scanning is also very useful in other situations, and it can be used in PvP combat to discover where targets are. That's the main focus of the Directional Scanning 101 class, which is why I actually didn't teach D-Scanning 101 today, which was my original plan, and instead made my own class, which, as you can tell, didn't have a syllabus because I was a bit rambly. I apologize for that. And Crimson is correct, you can see ships getting closer and closer if they are warping to you, by narrowing that range. And you can also tell how close the ship is by narrowing the range down, so that can be handy. Now, before I said if you're getting scanned down and you see a suspicious ship, when I said suspicious ship, I mean a stealth bomber or a Cove Ops frigate. So typically, most missions will have acceleration gates, and when they scan you down and warp to you, they'll warp to that first acceleration gate and be immediately decloaked. If you get lucky, you will have scanned during that time, and you will see that decloaked Cove Ops before they can warp away and cloak again. But there's only if you were very lucky. Also remember that when descanning for combat scanner probes, you should have your overview set up to see combat scanner probes, so that your descan will actually pick them up. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there scanning, and you won't actually be able to pick up combat scanner probes, even if they are there. And you can put a container or a jet can at the exit of acceleration gates that will decloak anyone that warps in. That's also a handy tactic to use, especially so you can keep an eye on the exit yourself in the current pocket. It's sort of reliable, but then there's always the chance that the target will burn away before you can notice them, especially if they're buried under a big pile of red boxes, NPC boxes. And they will not be a war target, so they will just appear as a neutral, and you may not even notice it. Thank you all for attending. Sorry if I was a bit umming and ahhing. There was no syllabus to draw from, which is what I'm used to, so I kind of had to draw from my own notes, which were a bit sparse, and to ad-lib it most of the time. So yeah, the exits from a gate, no, acceleration gate is what he means. A jump gate, you will be in a 15 kilometer radius, yes, a random point, but an acceleration gate, you will always end up at that one point. Yanu is one stealth bomber a danger to a PvE fitted battleship. He's a danger because he can cloak up, he can move around behind you and give an enemy fleet a good warp-in position on you, and that's the way he's a danger. He can also be quite dangerous as a natural enemy. While he can't point you, he can cause a significant amount of damage with those torpedoes, and if you're an LSEC, bombs are extremely hard to avoid with a battleship. Though of course he can't point you, so you can simply warp away. He can still cause quite a bit of damage, and in missions such as level 4s, there can be scrambling rats, and they can keep you pinned and webbed, and you can't do a thing about that stealth bomber that's pounding you with torpedoes except for trying to snipe him. Yes, bombs on pods are quite effective. Right, I hope that this class helped some people. If it didn't, sorry. But also, I should note that in an hour and a half, I will be running the weekend edition of Noobs on Patrol. I think we'll be going to Nullsec today. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't actually planned it out. But if you want some PvP, come along. And thank you.